What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on into today's edition of DSM Media's Phillies game recap as we're looking at Monday night's game one up in the Bronx against the New York Yankees. And the Phillies, obviously, as we all know, coming off of being swept by Texas, heading into New York, we're hoping that they can find a way to play Phillies baseball that we saw last fall. But unfortunately, it looked more like Texas as they would fall 8-1. And of course, today I am joined by my guy here at DSM Media. Please welcome on in my guy, Dylan Davis. Dylan, my brother, how you feeling, man? What's going on?
Not much, man. Not much. I'm sitting here every night getting ready for a Phillies win, and we're winless so far. So these recaps that I've been doing started after game one. Going to attempt to do 162 of them throughout the season. Might be a little difficult, but I thought they'd be more fun than this. I thought I'd have some more positives to come on and talk about each and every morning with everybody. And we're not there yet. A lot of it's negativity, a lot of it's ranting and emotion. So hopefully they can turn that around soon, man. But how are you? It's been a while.
Absolutely, man. Listen, obviously, for me watching both the Phillies and the Union closely, it feels like the same things are happening. And we'll talk about the concerns about the Phillies, but I feel like most of it is mental. As you look into last night, you get Taijuan Walker in his first start. That was pretty cool to see. He's going up against Nelson Cortes, and obviously the Yankees have been dealing with their injury issues with the starting rotation. So you get Nelson Cortes in this one. Listen, Nelson looked pretty solid to start it off, but then obviously the Phillies got things starting to work a little bit later on. And then they were able to get him out of the game as they were able to get some hits. But of course, the Brandon Marsh at third base, does he go? Does he stay? That kind of was a momentum swinger. Taijuan looks solid, but obviously, I thought he looked like I thought he would this season. And then the bullpen continues to be the same issues yet again. But I guess let's just start off with this, man. It's every loss has been pretty similar. It's been bullpen. I don't know. For you, what's your main concern? What's been going on with the Phils as of late?
My main concern is Rob Thompson figuring out this bullpen. When you look at the lineup, I know they're on back-to-back games of one-run baseball. The game before that on Saturday when they lost 16-3, scored 3 runs, left a lot of runners stranded in scoring position. They've done the same over the last 2 games, but the Phillies lineup, A, we know how talented and deep they are. A, we know they're still without Bryce Harper. That'll get fixed. And B, they have not had a game this year with less than 9 hits plus 1, 2, or 3 walks. So they've had double-digit base runners in each and every game. That'll figure itself out to me. I'm not overly concerned about the lack of scoring and leaving runners in scoring position. The starting rotation, right? You mentioned Taijuan Walker last night. Brandon Marsh, you mentioned the rounding third base mistake. How about the error to start the game that they don't call an error, but I mean, let's call it what it is here, right? It should have been a leadoff single for DJ LeMahieu. Gets to the wall. It's a leadoff triple. Now he's got to pitch to Judge and Rizzo and Stanton with a guy on third and nobody out. He tightens up. He got a lot better throughout that start. Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, you expect those guys to bounce back. You expect those first starts to kind of seem like outliers as the season goes on. This bullpen, however, I mentioned Rob Thompson's name specifically because as you saw Gregory Soto bounce back in a second appearance, you saw Sir Anthony Dominguez bounce back in a second appearance. I think the back end of it is pretty talented when you talk about Soto and Alvarado and Dominguez and hopefully a good Craig Kimbrell this season who had a rough outing too. But I don't know that Rob has a good hold on it. And I think he's doing the same thing with the bullpen that he's doing with the lineup. He's trying to tweak and tinker and figure out what to put where when, to me, you should already have an idea of that come opening day. Junior Marte does not need to throw another pitch in the Phillies uniform. I don't care how young the kid is. I don't care what upside they saw. He was free for a reason. He was the last guy or second to last guy to make the team for a reason. And for whatever reason, Rob Thompson has thrown this kid out there in a tie ball game or in a 2-run ball game each of his first 2 starts, and he's gotten destroyed in both outings that he's had in a Phillies uniform so far. So I think Topper trying to figure out who to plug in where in this bullpen is kind of my biggest concern so far.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously they're missing some key pieces, especially in the batting lineup. I mean, Rhys Hoskins to me has been a big loss when you think about being a dugout leader and a voice in there. But I mean, for me, like I'm okay with trying to see what you have in a guy like Junior Marte in the fourth game of the season. I'm okay with that. It does bring up a bigger question though, because like it's honestly connects to the birds, because it feels like in sports in general, spring training, preseason, whatever you want to call it, training camp, it seems like the workload has digressed a little bit. And the same thing here in baseball as well. You don't really put out your full guns out there throughout spring training. So obviously you're going to have some rustiness. And so that is a debate on its own, whether or not you should give them a full look during spring training. But yeah, I mean, I'll say this. We saw Junior Marte come in there for Taijuan Walker, and that's all we need to see. Okay? That's all you need to see. You put him out there. It didn't work. Now we move on. We try to find better middle inning guys. That's just kind of the way I look at it. But go ahead.
I look at the moments and spots he's going to this kid early on in the season. 2-run ball game in Yankee Stadium. The game's not out of hand yet. Like it's really not. The Phillies almost cracked through the previous inning before that Marsh third base mistake. And then you basically take the bats out of your lineup's hand because this kid can't hold it down, man. So it was disappointing from that point of view.
You know what, too, Dylan? Like, I think for me, a concern is, I think more so the bats. I know, like, the arms, we see what the numbers are doing. It's terrible, right? But
yeah,
remember last year, right? When we signed on Schwarber, we signed on Castellanos, the hope was that these bats were going to just swing for the fences all the time. Right. They're going to put up 8 to 9 runs a game. And so right now, the confidence is just not there. Obviously, listen, you can't allow these many 9 walks as well last night. I mean, that's atrocious in its own right as well. But these bats need to figure it out a little bit, because 11 hits were made last night and only 1 run.
Yep.
That's not good enough either. And look, the Yankees I don't think they put any Mariano Rivera didn't come out of the bullpen last night for the Bronx Bombers. So to me, everything is just mental right now. And especially with the bats, these guys need to shake off this lack of confidence that they have and need to just go out there and have fun, just like what they did last fall.
It's literally the next thing I was going to bring up to you, Parcero. Do they look like they're having fun in the first 4 games? No, they don't. And I'm not having fun because they're not having fun. When we last saw this team in October, early November, when they were making that World Series run, this team was fun on the field, production-wise, in the clubhouse, everything. They don't look like they're having fun. They're playing tight. They're playing like a team that knows they have high expectations, and they're trying to overcompensate without having their MVP and a 30-plus home run guy in Rhys Hoskins. They don't look like a team that's prepared to play meaningful baseball at the moment, as crazy as that sounds. And I think a lot of it does go back to the short offseason and what you mentioned they didn't get a lot of work in spring training because of that short offseason. So with the new pitch clock and getting used to everything, it's showing right now, dude.
Dylan, let me ask you something, because we brought this up during Union match recaps. So the Union obviously struggling as well, and obviously they went through a tough championship. But when I watch the Union out there, it feels like they're trying to beat LAFC in the MLS Cup final. Do you feel like the Phillies are going out there and trying to beat the Houston Astros in Game 6 again?
Absolutely. That's what it looks like, because there's no confidence on the mound. Everything is tight, trying to be pinpoint. And you saw Aaron Nola on opening day missing his spots. Even in the first inning, he was missing his mark, missing his spots. Zach Wheeler, same thing. JT's got up here, he's down and away. It seems like they're tight, and it seems like you said that they're trying to beat a team that's not in front of them. Now, the Yankees are a very damn good team, and the Rangers have improved greatly, especially on that staff. So you've gotten a tough schedule in the first 6 games to start before you head home versus the Reds. But I don't think either is the Houston Astros. And that's who it seems like they're trying to defeat right now. And it's hurting themselves.
It really is. So Taijuan Walker, like we mentioned, he gets his first start for the Phillies in red pinstripes, and ironically, he goes back to New York, but not for the Mets, but against the Yankees this time. 4 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 4 earned, 5 strikeouts, 1 home run allowed, 3 walks. What'd you think in his debut?
I thought the first inning was a mess, and I thought what Brandon Marsh did in center field contributed to that, because I know that the broadcast was talking about his command, and I think he walked 3 guys in the first inning. And while yes, you put that blame on him, but there's a reason he was tight facing Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton and Anthony Rizzo and everybody coming up on deck is because it starts with a leadoff triple that should have never been the case. After he gets out of that inning, only 2 runs given up with bases loaded, nobody out against that middle of the Yankees order, which I thought was nice in itself to keep the Phillies in the game to start. I thought he settled in nicely, man. I really did. He gave up 1 solo home run over that short porch in right center field. And outside of that, he was fine. He got the hook, I believe, in the 5th inning with 1 out after he struck Judge out, and then I believe let up a walk or a single, and that's when Marte came in. Obviously, you want to see him go deeper into the game, but that pitch count was high because of the 1st inning, especially when we have a bullpen game today. But yeah, no, I thought he settled in nicely, man. The problem with that 2-0 start, Parcero, is this is another key for me in the Phillies turning things around tonight and going forward. Since blowing a 5-run lead on opening day, they have played from behind heading into the top of the 3rd inning in every game so far. 2 of which, last night and game 2 against the Rangers, they've been down 2-0 heading into the top of the 2nd. So they've given up 2 runs in the bottom of the 1st inning to their opponent. And on Sunday Night Baseball, it was 1-0 heading into the top of the 3rd. So you're trying to dig yourself out of a hole from the jump, basically, man. You're spotting the other team runs. It can't happen.
It's so discombobulated right now. It really is. I mean, like I said, for Taijuan, this is kind of like what I do expect him. And it goes back to kind of how this team was built. You're built this team to muscle games out, to get those runs, to get those home runs. And so that's why you sign on to Taijuan Walker. I still think he's an upgrade from Eflin, Gibson.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think that this is what he is. And if you're not going to get those runs, I mean, you're really going to waste his outings. And so that's really something the Phillies obviously need to work on. But I'm curious to see how the season does go on, once he gets comfortable in Citizens Bank Park and how that will look. But obviously, look, he's a big body boy. That fastball, that's going to be his bread and butter, that 4-seam fastball. But I think that as the season goes on, this is more so what you're probably going to see. But to that point, the pitch clock's been the talk about around the league. I'm curious your thoughts of what you've seen. Obviously, you heard what Bryce Harper said during the broadcast Sunday night. Well, what's your thoughts on the pitch clock, brother?
I think so. I think that the Phillies need to suck it up and get over it, because other teams aren't having these issues. Other teams are scoring 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 runs. Other teams aren't bitching and moaning and complaining about it, and other teams aren't 0-4. However, as a fan who played baseball growing up, who has always liked baseball, I don't need the game to be sped up. So while I think it can be cool and obviously beneficial to the younger generation and everybody included, when a Tuesday night game that starts at 7:05 is over by 9:30 or 9:45 rather than
awesome.
10:30 or 10:45, that part's cool. Except when you kind of are paying attention throughout the game and it's sped up, man. And right or wrong going forward, like I don't love it because it doesn't feel natural at all. You have some pitchers like a Nestor Cortez and a Jacob deGrom who work extremely quick, so the pitch clock's not an issue for them. It's going to be an issue for Aaron Nola all year long. It's going to be an issue for guys out of the bullpen like a Craig Kimbrell, like a Jose Alvarado, all year long. It's going to be an issue for guys in the plate that kind of, if they work a count to 3-2, hold on, I need a second. They only get 1 timeout, right? And that's for a split second. The clock continues. Yeah. So I don't love it in terms of me already enjoying baseball. I never needed the game sped up. But I do think that the Phillies themselves need to figure it out and figure it out quick.
It's funny. Like, I felt like Taijuan Walker was throwing at good pace. Like, pitches out, gets the ball back, and like he's not taking more than 10 seconds to throw that next pitch. And I thought that was pretty good to see from him. But it's funny because over the past like 5-10 years, Dylan, I've learned to love baseball and what it does provide. Like I do appreciate the pace of the game, especially like summertime. Like, dude, we're all trying to relax on a with a nice brew in our hand, and baseball is a great pace for all that. But I do understand that. Look, Dylan, the generations that are behind us, look, they have a short attention span, and they don't care about baseball, and that's just the fact of the matter. And so if you're baseball, you got to figure that out. You got to figure out how to reach them. And so I agree. You got to figure it out, man.
I don't think trimming 30 minutes off of a game is going to attract those fans that already think the game is boring.
Yeah, I
and
agree,
too slow.
man.
In hindsight, it does make a difference. Like a 3 hour and 15-minute game being 2 hours and 40 minutes. When you think about it, yeah, that's pretty cool. But it's not all that different, is it? Like, it's not all that different. And you mentioned it, like what happens summertime when you and I go to a game or whatever, and you're so used to sitting out, in the upper deck or whatever, no one's around you, it's nice weather, and you got a 3 hour game ahead of you. And next thing you know, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes and your ass is back in the car. Like,
That is true. That is absolutely true. But you know what it is, Dylan? Like, baseball and MLB in general, like they just keep trying to do too much. You know what? You know what will bring the younger crowd? Reese Hoskins spiking the bat the way he did in the playoffs. Bryce Harper with his emotion, allowing these players to show personality. That will drive them too. You know what's crazy about the NBA? I feel like the regular season doesn't hold the same weight as far as like significance or just like the amount of attention that it gets as much as the offseason does. Dude, offseason is drama. Everyone is so in tune to what's going to happen. Where's this player going to get traded to? Like, and it's because the players are the show over there. And as in baseball is a show, and the older crowd likes that, but the younger crowd just doesn't really care for that.
The MLB are always one step behind, man.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with you. When you have a guy like Shohei freaking Ohtani, who you just saw on the biggest stage in the World Baseball Classic, do what he can do, you got to figure out a way to market. It's not that hard to market that. It's really not. Like, this is the first dude that can do what Babe Ruth used to do, except 1,000 times better. Like realistic, especially on the mound and more consistently on the mound. And when he pitches, he also hits. You should be able to package that and market that pretty easily and pretty cool, right? When you have stars around the league, especially younger guys, like you can go within our division. When you have a guy like Ronald Acuna Jr., when you have a guy in San Diego who has some off the field issues, but Fernando Tatis, who's always a joy to watch on the field, like you got to figure out a way to market it, man. And it feels like they drop the 8 ball every single time.
Every single time.
You know what else would help? Robo-umps, by the way. Just throw that out there.
Whoa, Dylan is trying to throw some hot takes out there, ladies and gentlemen. We're Fox Sports. I'm just kidding, guys. Dylan, so before we move on from this game, the batting lineup, something I am intrigued about. Obviously, bats have been struggling, and I do understand. Like, look, you mentioned Josh Harrison was originally supposed to start. I believe he picked up an ankle knock.
Yeah, I don't know, swollen somehow. He apparently he didn't know how his ankle was injured.
I don't know about that one, Joshy boy. But all right, we'll go with that. But so as far as the batting lineup, how much tinkering should be going on as we move forward and we try to avoid 0-6 heading back to Philadelphia?
How much? Not a lot. Not a lot, because that's not what good teams and good lineups do. And that's what I loved most about Rob Thompson when he came in and replaced Joe Girardi. If you go back to Joe Girardi's start of last year, I mean, Jesus Lord, how many different lineups were we seeing? We saw Kyle Schwarber. We saw Kyle Schwarber lead off, bat second, bat fifth, bat seventh in the first couple months. We saw Nick Castellanos anywhere from 2 to 7. We saw Bryce Harper lead off. We saw Gene Segura. You saw every combination of lineup. That's not what good teams do. They know what your consistent lineup is. I get it. This is technically not the same team when you're missing Bryce and Reese from the postseason run. But figure something out, man. If you like Derek Hall cleaning up when he's in the game, when he's playing, he's cleaning up Costy's 5 or reverse. Stop tinkering it and switching it, right? If you like Boehm batting 6th, leave him at 6. Don't have him 4th, 5th, 7th. He needs to figure out a consistent lineup basically until Bryce can come back. I'll also say this to you. I know that Rob is a big believer, whether it's analytically, numbers, whatever the case is, with his lefty matchups. And he took a shot. He had to take a shot with Hall and Marsh and Stott last night against the lefty, and he doesn't normally do that. You have to do that because I'm sorry. Like I said, a good team, a pennant team, is not having Josh Harrison start 2 of their first 4 games because he's trying to dictate to matchup. let the lefties figure it out, man. It's the only way they're going to grow, and they should be your everyday starters regardless. I don't need to see Sosa's been good, right? Sosa's been really good over at third. I don't need to see Sosa at third and moving Bone from DH and first and Hall from DH and first because of a matchup. I don't need to see freaking Christian Pache anymore, let alone multiple times a week because of a left-handed hitter.
Yeah, man. Listen. Brandon Moore so far this season, it's been a little rough, but I agree with you. Just go out there and figure it out. It is a long season. I know no one wants to be 0-4, but these guys need to figure it out. And look, Hoskins maybe back in October, Harper coming back. Yeah, Harper maybe coming back earlier as well. We're hearing May, June. So let these guys for right now figure it out. And once those guys come back, then we'll figure it out at that point as well. But I agree with you, man. Like, you don't need to tinker. I mean, you know how I feel about analytics in general as it is. At the end of the day, players play, and that's really
let your best players play.
Calculation's not going to control that. It's going to be the players that play out there on a day-to-day basis. So we'll see what happens. I was hoping that going back to New York, man, it would change something to this team. But, I mean, because, listen, Texas, we do struggle. Like, we struggled last year in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, they're 0-12, I think, against Texas, going back to like 2010 or whatever.
But yeah, I mean, if you can't like I know that Yankees lineup is pretty daunting, but I mean, if you can't get past that top half of it, it's gonna be tough. Gleyber Torres got his 100th home run yesterday.
Here's the thing, man. It is daunting, and you're on the road. I get that. You know what other lineups are daunting? The Atlanta Braves did okay against them in the postseason. You know what other lineups are daunting? San Diego Padres handled them pretty good in the postseason. So, like, this should be nothing new. The Houston Astros, pretty daunting. You had a 2-1 series lead and fought them tooth and nail into Game 6. So, like, they should be accustomed to a lineup like this. You mentioned going back to New York and you were hoping it would change. Dude, I don't know how they fix this energy. I don't know how they switch this momentum, but sometimes all it takes is a big hit or a timely hit or a big home run to change the energy and to change the tone in that dugout. And they are in desperate need of something to go their way. That's what I'm looking for, man. If you can get a timely hit in the third inning to score 2 runners, if you can get a Kyle Schwarber 2-run home run to start the game, that's what will change the momentum for this team. If they continue to get behind early, I don't care if it's 1 run. Their mindset already is we have to climb back. We're playing from behind. Be the aggressor and go out there and start with a lead.
Yeah. It's I guess like that Yordan Alvarez effect. I don't know, but I agree with you. Like, go out there and have fun. And stop acting like you're still in the World Series, because we're not anymore. We're in Game 5 of the new season.
Yeah.
So treat it like it. So, like, I don't know, because, like, it felt like once the intensity lifted up last year, these guys played like a whole different team that we never even saw. So how do you get back down to earth? Because, look, the rest of the league is here. The season is here. So now we got to go out there. And I agree with you. Like, you know, a Bryson Stott walk-off home run in extra innings like last year against the Angels. Something like that is really what's going to lift this team from an unlikely hero. And then that's how you kind of turn it around. But more than anything else, everyone has seen the stat. No team has gone 0-6 and made the World Series. Now, obviously, anything can happen, but there is no way now that us, the fans, or them as a team, want to come back to Philadelphia for this home opener 0-6. Because I guarantee you, it's not going to be, woo, welcome back, guys. It's going to be, boo, get the hell out of here. So let's change this around.
The funny
boys.
part is you would have to assume there's a National League banner probably being dropped or raised on Thursday, correct? So this was supposed to be a party on Thursday. This was supposed to be your home opener celebration. Welcome back, guys. You start. Listen, it's more and more likely that they could start 1-5 because winning 2 straight against the Yankees with a bullpen game and then Garrett Cole doesn't seem very likely at the moment. You never know, but 1-5 is bad enough. But like you said, winless 0-6 back-to-back sweeps. Good luck, man. Good luck at that ballpark with these expectations.
this fan base will not love that. That's for sure.
I'll let me throw this to you before we wrap up or whatever else you have planned here.
Uh-huh.
This is kind of my goal now for them because I was like, here's the funny part. I understand like no one wants to start 0-4, like you said, and I'm getting frustrated. Like I'm frustrated. I'm not, enthused to watch these games right now. The bottom line is like the Sixers started 0-3 in the NBA season, right? And they play how many games?
I believe 82 last I checked.
Yeah. The Phillies are 0-4 and they play how many games?
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, I'm not happy with it. Criticize it. I'm criticizing it. But don't take it to a totality shape and act like this is what you're going to get the rest of the season. The goal now for me is to get back to 500. That's what you should be working towards. And then clean slate. Then you try to go on a run and figure things out from a day-to-day basis there. But right now, you got to scratch and claw. And within the next week or so, hopefully you're back to what's reasonable, man. 5-6, something like that. And then it's like, okay, now we can kind of get this thing going a little bit.
I mean, listen, I'm okay with being 500 until the summer, and then boom.
Well, dude, that's what they were for a majority of the season last year.
Yeah. And listen, Dylan, thinking logically in Philadelphia, you're asking for way too much, brother. but you're 110% right. I mean, for me, especially with sports, hockey, basketball, baseball, a little bit soccer as well. I'm not taking 1, 2, 3 games with high regards. Like it's a long-term situation. But yes, when those big time shows, so when the Mets come around, the Braves come around, it's a different story. But we do got some.
I brought this up to Scotty the other day because me and him were actually at the Sunday Easter game against the Braves 2 years ago for that first series. And I don't know what they did in their fourth game, so I don't know if they were 1-3 or 1-4. But the Atlanta Braves got swept by our Phillies in the first series 2 seasons ago. Or 3 seasons ago, whatever it was. The Phillies didn't make the playoffs starting 3-0, and the Atlanta Braves went on to win the World Series. So, like, 0-3, 0-4, why are like I know you gotta put a pin in it at some point. You need to crack the win column like now, right? But like, let's not act like that's the cliff was 0-4, right? Instead of 0-3.
Dude, Braves always start slow, and then they just win the division every.
I believe when
year.
the Braves made those moves at the All-Star break for Jorge Soler and I forget who the other acquisition was, Jock Peterson, I think.
Rosario,
they were under 500, I believe, at that point. Like, I'm not saying like that could be an outlier. I'm not saying like that's the norm and like you just got to hope to be under 500 at the break. And no, but relax.
Yeah, I mean, Ranger Suarez still out.
Exactly. You only have Ranger out. Painter hopefully is back at some point. Like you have to try to be around 500 when Bryce comes back. That's the bottom line.
That's it. So we'll have the preview show here on DSM Media later here today. But game 2 will be tonight at 7:05. Max Stram will be on the mound here for the first time as a starter for the Phils. He's going to go up against Dominico Germán, number 0, a number 0 pitcher. I'm not used to.
I hate it.
Stroman wearing the 0 as well.
It's number 0 with no last name on the back. Gotta love it.
Are you ready for offensive linemen to wear 0?
No. I don't want any Philadelphia Eagle to wear number 0. I think it's the worst number in sports. Like, well, is it just 0 or is it 00?
I don't, dude. If you're a lineman wearing just 0, that's just weird. Just
like, I feel like I could deal with like a wide receiver or a DB or something wearing 0. I don't want to see 00 like Spencer Hall's. It's the worst number in sports history.
You brought up Spencer Hall's. I
don't need to see it, bro. Man. 1 was too many in Philly.
Oh my God, dude. No one's worn that number since. Now that I think of that.
Nah.
Thank God.
Good. People have a sense.
Absolutely, man. So I wonder how your nerves are going to be after tonight, because we also got Sixers, Boston.
I know.
Phillies trying to make it. I'll be another mess because I got Champions League tonight with the Union. But yeah, it should be an interesting night. Our mood could be really
Anybody
good
know what
really
the Flyers are doing?
I don't know. Tortorella's watching from above, so all things are good with the Flyers, I guess. They're cleaning house, Dylan. So I mean, we haven't talked Flyers in a while, but at least they cleaned house a little bit.
The head coach is watching from a suite.
That's what you do when you're that bad, I guess, man. But that's going to do it here for Phillies game recap, guys. Listen, we're with you. It sucks, but we're along with the ride. We're all along with the ride here, and we'll see if they can shake it off here tonight. Make sure you guys check out the DSM Media pre-game show here tonight. 6 o'clock, right? We're doing?
Yes, sir. Duo show.
6 p.m.
Pre-game and Phillies.
You got the 2-for-1 special here. We always get you covered here at DSM Media. So 6 o'clock. Stay tuned for that one. We'll get you all prepared for tonight. But Dylan, anything else you want to plug away, my brother?
Yeah, man. So with our friend Phil Stifel departing onto Philadelphia Sports Network, congrats! Shout out to the beard for that. But we're missing big time content in the morning, and with pregame shows and turf talk, and then the games at nighttime. Scotty and I were trying to figure out when to get something together. So starting next Monday, what's that date? April 10th, I believe. Yes. Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings at 8 a.m. Scotty and I will be live on the Faithful Fanatic show here on DSM Media, talking all things Philly sports, Phillies, Eagles draft, Eagles off season, Sixers, playoffs, all that good stuff. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings at 8 a.m. on DSM Media.
Now, I always forget because when we were kids, the draft was a different one. Is the draft still April or is it May this year?
It's a great question.
Dude, really I hate that they changed that, man.
Isn't it normally April like 28, like that weekend, like the latest weekend in April?
I thought so, man. Dude, I used to watch all 7 rounds of the NFL draft. It's changed a lot.
Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to you. I was out by like round 4.
I feel that, man. I feel that. But yeah, so make sure you guys are subscribed here to DSM Media. Follow as well. Follow me. Follow Dylan. Follow DSM Media's page as well. That's going to do it here for us. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hopefully we bounce back here tonight. And as always,